Arabic webinars. This lesson is about the heavy and light letters. Objectives. We will learn what the meaning of heavy and light letters are and how this affects the pronunciation with fathah. Heavy and light terminology. In Arabic, there is a classification of heavy and light sounds. Almost all the letters in the alphabet produce light sounds. Some letters always produce heavy sounds, and those are 7 letters. Some letters can produce both heavy and light sounds depending on certain rules, and this is the letter lam and ra. The heavy and light sounds can be noticed once you know what the letters are that produce them and the rules applying to them. The heavy and light sounds are quite noticeable when letters are pronounced with the short vowel sound fathah, as the actual fathah sound also changes on the heavy letters. Heavy and light letters with fathah. So when you put the short vowel fathah on top of certain letters, they give what we call a light sound. So far we've learned that when you put fathah on a letter, you get an a sound, and that's the a as in apple. And the majority of all the letters with fathah give an a sound. However, there are certain letters which give a heavy sound. So when you put fathah on those letters, instead of giving the a sound, it gives an r sound as in art. So we're going to see the difference in here, the a or the r. Heavy and light letters. Letters that always produce a heavy sound. So these are the 7 letters that always produce heavy sounds. So we have ta, dha, sad, dad, kha, gha, and qa. Letters that can produce both heavy and light sounds, and this is depending on certain rules, is lam and ra. All other letters always produce light sounds. So as long as you can remember these 7 letters and these 2 with a few small rules, everything else you just pronounce as light sounds. So different fathah sound examples, and we're going to use fathah because it gives the most pronounced or different type of sounds with the heavy and light sounds. So fathah again. So the letter jim is one of the letters that produces a light sound. So with the fathah, it produces the sound ja, as in a, ja. The letter kha with fathah gives a heavy sound, so it will be kha, kha. And the letter sad also gives a heavy sound with fathah, so it gives the sound sa, sa. So you can see the difference between ja, kha, sa. So not all the letters give an a sound. So with sad you can't say sa, it must be saw, and with kha you cannot say kha, it must be kha. So pronunciation of heavy letters. These 7 letters always produce a heavy sound. Hence, with fathah, they give an R sound, as in art, instead of an A sound, as in apple. So we'll just go through these 7 letters. So we have kha, ra, sa, da, ta, dha, and qa. The letter ra with fathah. The letter ra also produces a heavy sound if it has either a fathah or a dhamma on it. Later on, we will see that the letter ra has many more rules regarding its pronunciation, and it is one of the more difficult letters to learn all the rules for. So the letter ra with a fathah is pronounced ra. You cannot say ra, and you would hear this in the word rab. Rab. You cannot say my rab. You say my rab. So that's why it's rab instead of rab, is because the letter ra with fathah must be pronounced heavy, so it's ra, ra. Tafkheem and tarqeeq. So in Arabic, the letters that produce the heavy sounds are known as the tafkheem letters. The letters that produce the light sounds are known as tarqeeq letters. So that's just the Arabic terminology. So to keep it easy, we will normally say heavy and light. This is the official definition of tafkheem, and in English it would actually be known as fattening. So its applied definition: it is a heaviness that enters the body of the letter so that the mouth is filled with its reverberation or echo. The method of making a letter have the characteristics of tafkheem is elevating the posterior tongue to the roof of the mouth, i.e. the soft palate, creating more space between the roof of the mouth and the bottom of the mouth, and focusing the pressure of the letter to the roof of the mouth. Now that's obviously a long and difficult explanation, so that's just an official definition. The easiest way to learn it is to try and imitate the sound. Note here, tafkheem is commonly known as full mouth. So a lot of people will say you're pronouncing certain letters with a full mouth, like saw, saw. And generally, when you say those letters, especially with fathah, your mouth is quite round. So they call that like the full mouth. Tarqeeq. The linguistic definition of tarqeeq is thinness. Its applied definition: it is a thinness that enters the body of the letter so the mouth is not filled with its reverberation or echo. Tarqeeq is commonly known as empty mouth. So again, the letters that are pronounced with the empty mouth, you say, for instance, sa, sa, and generally with, at least with the fathah, it's your mouth is slightly like a very slight smile. So you say sa, sa, rather than saw. Saw is the full mouth. Conclusion then: we know what tafkheem is and what letters produce the heavy sounds. We know what tarqeeq is and what letters produce the light sounds. We have seen the different sounds the short vowel fathah produces with these letters that produce heavy sounds.